It's a bit rough, isn't it? A bit extreme? He may have had his faults. I admit he was a fickle old... Who did this? And why?
To say that it is without pace, point, focus, interest, drama, wit, originality, is to simply say that it does not happen to be my cup of tea. One is only to compare this ragbag with the masters of the genre to see that here we have a trifle that is not my cup of tea at all.
I'm sorry to be blunt, but there's no getting away from it. It lacks pace. A complete ragbag.
I will go further. Those of you who are fortunate enough to be at the Comédie Française Wednesday last will not need to be reminded that hysterics are no substitute for éclat.
It lacks élan.
Some of the cast seem to have given up acting altogether, apparently aghast, with every reason, at finding themselves involved in an evening that would, and indeed will, make the angels weep.
I am not a prude, but I fail to see any reason for the shower of filth and sexual illusion foisted onto an unsuspected public in the guise of modernity at all costs.
Well, Inspector, is this your man?
Yes. Yes.
It's Simon.
Yes. Yes. Is this some kind of a joke?
If it is, Inspector, it's in very poor taste.
All right. I'm going to find out who did this. I want everyone to go to the positions they occupied when the shot was fired. No one will leave the house.
I think we all had the opportunity to fire the shot, Inspector.
But
which of us would want to?
Perhaps you, Major Magnus?
Why should I want to kill him?
Because he was onto you. Yes, he tumbled you right from the start. And you shot him just when he was about to reveal that you killed this chap.
But what motive would there be for killing him? Who is this chap, Inspector?
I don't know. Quite unlike anyone I've ever met. Well, now...
Inspector?
Yes, what is it, dear lady?
Happening to enter this room earlier in the day to close the windows, I chanced to overhear a remark made by the deceased Simon Gascoigne to her ladyship, viz., I will kill anyone who comes between us.
Ah, yes, well, that's it then. This chap was obviously killed by Simon.
But he didn't come between us.
And who then killed Simon?
Subsequent to that reported remark, I also happened to be in earshot of a remark made by Lady Muldoon to the deceased to the effect, I will kill you, Simon Gascoigne. I hope you don't mind my mentioning it.
Not at all. I'm glad you did. It is from these chance remarks that we in the force build up our complete picture before moving in to make the arrest. It will not be long now, I fancy, and I must warn you, Lady Muldoon, that anything you say...
Yes, I hated Simon Gascoigne, for he had me in his thrall, but I didn't kill him.
Prior to that, Inspector, I also chanced to overhear a remark made by Miss Cunningham, no doubt in the heat of the moment, but it stuck in my mind as these things do, viz., I will kill you for this, Simon Gascoigne.
Ah, the final piece in the jigsaw. I think I am now in a position to reveal the mystery. This man was, of course, McCoy, the Canadian, who, as we heard, meeting Gascoigne in the street, and being solicited for sixpence for a toffee apple, smacked him across the ear with the cry, How's that for a grudge to harbor, you sniffling little work-shy, all those many years ago? Gascoigne bided his time, but in due course tracked McCoy down to this house, having on the way met in the neighborhood a simple, ambitious girl from the provinces. Miss Charming, persuasive, told her I have no doubt that she would go straight to the top, and she, flattered by his sophistication, taken in by his promises to see her all right on the night, gave in to his simple desires. Perhaps she loved him. We shall never know. But in the very hour of her promised triumph, his eye fell on another. Yes, I refer to Lady Cynthia Muldoon. From the moment he caught sight of her, there was no other woman for him. He was in her spell, willing to sacrifice anything, even you, Felicity Cunningham. It was only today, unexpectedly finding him here, that you learned the truth. There was a bitter argument which ended in your promise to kill him. A promise that you carried out in this very room at your first opportunity. And I must warn you that anything you say...
But it doesn't make any sense.
Not at first glance, perhaps.
Could not McCoy have been killed by the same person who killed Simon?
But why should any of us want to kill a perfect stranger?
Perhaps he was not a stranger to one of us.
But Simon was the madman, wasn't he?
We have only your word for that, Inspector. We have only your word for a lot of things. For instance, McCoy. Who is he? Is his name McCoy? Is there any truth to that fantastic and implausible tale of the insult inflicted in the Canadian streets? Or is there something else? Something quite unknown to us behind all this? Suppose for a moment that the madman, having killed this unknown stranger for private and inscrutable reasons of his own, was disturbed before he could dispose of the body, so having cut the telephone wires, he decided to return to the scene of the crime, masquerading as Police Inspector Hound.
But I'm not mad. I'm almost sure I'm not mad.
Only to discover that in the house was a man, Simon Gascoigne, who recognized the corpse as a man against whom you held a deep-seated grudge.
But I didn't kill... I'm almost sure I didn't...
I put it to you. Are you the real Inspector Hound?
You know damn well I'm not! What's it all about?
I thought as much.
I only dreamed. Sometimes I dreamed.
So it was you.
The madman.
The killer.
Oh, it's horrible, horrible.
The stranger in our midst.
Yes. We had a shrewd suspicion he would turn up here, and he walked into the trap.
What trap?
I am not the real Magnus Muldoon. It was a mere subterfuge, and I now reveal myself as...
You mean?
Yes, I am the real Inspector Hound.
Puckeridge.
Stand where you are, I shoot.
Puckeridge. You killed Higgs, and Berger tried to tell me that...
Stop! In the name of the... law. I've waited a long time for this moment.
So you are the real Inspector Hound?
Not only that, I've been leading a double life. At least...
You mean?
Yes. It's been 10 long years. But don't you know me?
You mean?
Yes! It's me, Albert, who lost his memory and joined the force, rising by merit to the rank of inspector, his past blotted out until fate cast him back into the home he left behind, back to the beautiful woman he had brought here as his girlish bride. In short, my darling, my memory has returned, and your long wait is over.
Oh, Albert!
Puckeridge, you cunning bastard. Bravo! Bravo!
Good evening. Good night, Max. Nice to see you. Good night. Nice to see you.
Oh man, there's no taxi out there. My car is right outside. I said, keep it. Keep it going. Alright, let's keep it going.
The Real Inspector Hound, as performed
Moon by Max Thundermaker.
Bugboot by Jason Craig.
Mrs. Drudge by Laurie Foster.
Simon Gascoigne by Scott Harris.
Felicity Cunningham by Vicki Boyles.
Lady Cynthia Muldoon by Raylan Holland.
Major Magnus Muldoon by Edwin Bish.
Inspector Hound by Robert Holland.
Radio Voice
by Jamie Fields, directed by Jamie Fields, as performed on January 2nd, 1977.